Greetings. My name is Mahialani Uchiyama, Director of the Center for International Dance. I am a descendant of the Yoruba, Ashanti, Wolof, Mandika, and Salagi peoples. And I come to you from the land of the Chichenyo, also known as Oakland, California, where my mountain is Tamalpais and my waterway is Salso Creek. I hold performance traditions of Hawaii, Tahiti, West Africa, and Zimbabwe. Welcome to Dare, Conversations in the Diaspora. Dare is a production of the African American Mbira Project, an initiative to perpetuate the music and tradition of Mbira within the African American community. With Dare, we aspire to explore the music of Zimbabwe and other performance traditions which exist in the diaspora. Our conversations with artists will focus on their art form and their personal journey. Sūle Greg Wilson is a drummer, dancer, folklorist, and banjo player, specializing in old-time American root music. He has authored several books, including The Drummer's Path, which is entering its 30th anniversary, and Funky Banjo. His upcoming book, Daddy Left His Body, a spiritual book for children on the passage from life to death, based on a true story, will soon be published. He has online classes, U.S. African percussion, an 8-week online course which starts next month, and Moving Beyond Mindfulness, Rhythm and Spirit, a 9-part experiential course in African spirituality, which will be out before the equinox. I am delighted to welcome Sule Greg Wilson.
Wow, this is really wonderful. I'm really honored to be here and excited to be here too after hearing all that. And I was getting chills just now because of being in Dare and thinking of the chances I've had, the couple of chances to be of help to Zimbabwean elders who have helped create the Dare in the United States. So that was a lot. It struck me deeply to realize that once again I'm being brought into this continuum. Once again, it's really taking my breath away.
We are honored to have you with us, and I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with us and sharing some of your amazing work and your story. And I wanted to start with your upcoming book, which sounds so intriguing and beautiful. Daddy Left His Body. Tell us a little bit about that, please.
Well, it's based on the story of a friend of mine. We were in church together in New York, Sarasota Society. He was oldest father of 4, from 9 to about a year and a half, when he was terminally ill, and he passed. And he prepared his family for this passage. And he also, there's a picture, he's sitting down with the family. But another thing, he was home for his passage. And his wife and daughters were chanting him across, right? And they were pouring, through their voices, pouring water all over him to pass him over. And he said, "Thank you so much." But as you see on the t-shirt, it said, "I'm Herakahuti. You got to give me the warrior song to pass me over." And that's what they did. And that's when he did. And the story came to me coming back from the service. My wife said, "It's not like he died, it's just like he left his body." And the whole thing just went boom. And I've let many people read it over the years. Everyone's loved it. People cried reading the story. But all the publishers say, "We love it, but we're not going to do it." So Real Path Media, my publishing company, is going to putting this book out this year.
Well, It's I think very timely. I think it's a very important work to have in the community, and I'm definitely going to be getting a copy of it when it's available. And I'm do keep us posted
I
when
promise.
it becomes available for the community, because given what we are all going through,
Hmm.
there surely there is a lot of need for a book like this.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you a question real quick.
Yes.
Um, have you felt? I'm assuming you felt people come back to you who have passed on. Yes. Yes.
Very good.
And as have I. And so that's what Daddy helps the kids to understand,
Mhm.
that you may not see me, but
Mhm.
I will always be here. And just how you hear me and you feel me now when I'm talking to you,
Mhm.
that's how you're going to feel me when I'm on the other side. Because I have to do my work over there to protect you now. That doesn't mean I'm gone. It just means I'm doing the work where I can have a bigger scope to do it.
And it's not just an African thing, but it is certainly an African thing to have this awareness of the presence, the continual presence of one's ancestors
Hmm.
in daily life. It's not.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I shared this with a couple of friends of mine, and they said, "Uh, when you going to write the white people version of it?" I mean, it's a universal story, and they felt and they touched it and they got it, but I think they just wanted it. I don't know, to have a different saint's name or something like that, you
Mhm.
know. And I thought about that, but let's just do the purity first.
It
Let's
is
just
universal,
Yeah.
and and it's so important, to have as many ways for children to see themselves as we can come up with these days. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you for that. Um, let's pivot and talk a little bit about some of your musical work.
Mhm.
Um, I first came to know you as a banjo player, and and I wonder if you could share a little bit about how that came to be, how you became interested in playing banjo.
Wow. How I came into well, because I've been doing. Thank you, by the way. And the first famous as a banjo player. That's cool. Don't get that too much. Like when I started playing banjo, the only banjo players I knew of, black banjo players, was myself and Taj Mahal when I got started. But I've been doing folkloric presentations since I was in public, since I was like 12 years old, and doing African dance as we thought we were doing it, you know, and uh, and of course, so many times, this is an aside, so many times on the bill with us
Mm.
would be in DC is the boot dancers.
Mhm, mhm.
So I'm hearing sho sho lo da sho sho lo all the time. And so I've been delving deeper and deeper into the traditions of West Africa, Central Africa, and of course, Southern Africa is right there too. So all these things, I've been fed with these things my whole life. And when I got to a certain point, Elder pointed out to me, and it was just made common sense, that you're on this trajectory. And the way I put it in my book is, why are you going to run? Why are you going to knock over your grandmother to run to get to your great great grandmother? And so I started working with the folkloric traditions of the United States. As a dancer, I had to embody whatever I was doing, and as a musician too, you have to have that. And as I studied the the traces and the lineages of the expressive, evocative, invocational arts of the United States, I went to the Lindy Hoppers, and I went to the Copacetics. We performed with the Copacetics, blessings, you know, performed for all the early modern primitive and dancers and stuff like that. And I had to go back and back and back and back and back. And you find Ernie Smith's film collection of dancers from the 20s and 30s and 40s. You find the Edison reels from 1898 and 1903, 1912. You find the Edison cylinder discs of the music. And then there's nothing else that you could absorb, literally absorb. So the only thing left to do, to keep going back, to understand from the African trip, things coming from Africa and me going back to find that joint, the juncture, and then go like that to understand what happened to the stuff that I've been studying for all these years over here. How is that part of me consciously? I had to pick up the banjo to play the music to go along with the dances and and try to figure out the dances so I could play the music, talking to elders. How's the buzzard lope go? What's the Texas Tommy look like? You know, show me that shim sham one more time. And then be able to take that and play it. Take what I know of absorbed and what I'm hearing from Egun, put that together with what's on the sheet music, and to create what these white people that wrote it down doing the best they could to recreate it on paper. For example, when I went to a weekend retreat for banjo, and I'm first learning the down thumping. Most people call it claw hammer. I call it thumping. Because claw hammer is Pete Seeger invented that, and claw hammer, it's like, no, we thumping. Boom, 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 boom. So we learn how to thump, note, strum, thumb, note, strum, thumb, note, strum, thumb, strum, note, strum, thumb, strum. Note. So we're given the basics by Kathy Fink and said, okay, go practice. I went out into the woods, sat down, played, had to learn how to breathe with it. Had to relax down with it, then open up to it and let gravity show me how to do it. And then it was there. And then I went back to where everybody else was, and we all did it. But of course, the way I was playing it was the complete on the other side of the rhythm, the way everybody else was doing it. Which gave me an ashe and an amen, just as Daddy left his body saying, well, doesn't fit between either of those things because the girl is that age. And so for me to be feeling the funk from the other place means I must be doing it right.
So for our viewers who it may be the first time that they've heard of banjo as something that connects our experience here on this continent to Africa, could you talk a little bit about how that is?
Yeah. Let me show you this instrument. This is the akonting, right? This is an instrument from the Gambia. And the way you play it, look, you can't see, but it's just like playing old-time banjo. Now, I met a man who has maintained the tradition of this instrument, Daniel Jatta. He was one of our speakers and our guests when we did the Black Banjo Gathering in 2005. And he told us that there is still a tradition in the Gambia to not play your accounting too close to the coast. The devils will take you. Okay. Now,
Mm-hmm.
this is a social instrument, right? This is one that people pick up and play. And so that tradition of playing socially for that instrument came over with the Jola people here. And when he presented on Saturday night at the gathering, he gave his presentation and sat down and watched the rest of the program go on. And I was MC that night, and I could feel that something needed to be birthed. You know, people did their presentations, but this had to become a community event. So I started jumping around and yelling and screaming, doing silly stuff and pumping until people grabbed their instruments, came up on stage and started playing. It became a real thing. And then we could do that, and we had a good time. And then, oh, such a blessing when I saw Daniel Jata finally get up and play, because it had become a real community event, not a performance, not a presentation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, there are many lutes in Africa. There's a book called Sounding Forms. It's a coffee table book of anthropomorphic musical instruments from Africa. And in that book, it tells you, yes, Africa is the land of the drum, but Africa is really only the land of the drum because the drum is what is different from the European people who are writing about Africa. Because also in Africa, there are more types of harps than anyone else in the world. But you don't hear about that. You hear about Africa, the land of the drum, because that drumming is so different than the Europeans writing about it. So this gourd instrument is very, very similar to the banjo. And excuse me just a moment. I'm sorry. I should have had this one nearby. But here's an updated version of the gourd banjo. Here, this is made by Pete Ross. This is a gourd banjo.
It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. I didn't tune this one up. Sorry about that. This was made by Pete Ross, who was and so you see this is made much more in the idea of the African. If you've ever seen a picture of a kora or anything like that. This was made by Pete Ross, who was apprentice to Scott Didlake, who was a white guy from Mississippi, who was a draft dodger, who ran away to Canada. And then he came back, he said, when he was in Canada, he met the same mix of white people that are in Mississippi, right? Minus the African influence and the native influence. He said, I'm so glad of my African heritage because I see the difference how I'd be as a white person if I didn't have the African influence in my culture, right? So this with the gourd is the typical version we think of banjos here. But then we have this one in Ngoni. Now this is from Senegal, so this will be a halam. But when I went to Sheikh Kamal Jabate for lessons, he knocked the fifth string down so just play it with four, which is what he's used to playing from Mali. Now this one, anyway, I won't start playing. But anyway, this one you see is carved of a solid piece of wood. And it's got the floating bridge, the bridge right there. So this is a lot harder to make in the States. There's a song from the Sea Islands called Raggy Levy. Oh, Raggy Levy, one of these days I'm gonna build me a stone fence. Oh, build me a stone fence. What's he talking about? What he's talking about is saying, one day I will have a dwelling that nobody can just walk into. I will have my own space. Build me a stone fence. So if you're under a regime where somebody can come in and take your stuff at any time, where on the books it's against the law to do hand drumming, you're going to wind up doing this. Oh, this is just a water vessel, boss. That's just my dipping gourd. You know? So the banjo is an African instrument. It developed from the Akonting, from the Ngoni, from the Molo, and from some other ones. That the people that wound up over here in this terrorist system had to devise a musical instrument that would remind everyone of home, but that would also sustain them in the new world, in this new situation that they found themselves in. And after about the 1830s, 20s, it turned out looking like this. Because once the Europeans got into it, they wanted to have something that they could reproduce faster. So they started using cheese boxes and stuff like that to make these rims instead of a gourd, because a gourd instrument has to be made to the specs of the gourd. You know, you have to bow to nature to be successful when you're working with a gourd. But with this, you know, you can make the wood do what you want it to. And that's how that got started. Mm-hmm. Irish Americans, as you know, were considered less human than English and Welsh and German Americans. So they were put with Black people, with African people. And they were the first ones. Joel Walker Sweeney was the first Euro-American to be famous for playing this instrument. And that's in Appomattox, Virginia. And so it crossed over into the Euro-American culture and kept on going from there. And by the time you get to the 20th century, you have to switch up the instrument a little bit, and it turns into like this kind of banjo, which one does not have the drone string anymore. And the drone string is really what makes it funky and African. Here. The drone string goes off when you have jazz bands, because you don't need that pa-ting, 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 pa-ting anymore. Because you may have a bass, or you have a tuba, or you have somebody playing in a different array of trappings, which they call the trap kit. So you don't need the banjo to do the ostinato off on the other side of the beat thing. You have other instruments to do that. And the banjo is great because it can cut through horns and all that stuff, provide that funky rhythm until you get electricity with guitars and stuff like that. And then combination of cultural growth, combination of appropriation and having to stay ahead of the appropriation. And you put those two things together, that's why you hardly see any Black person playing banjo anymore.
Interesting.
Music had to change once you get to the cite, you know, ding, 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 things, and the groove changed. Mm-hmm. And you can't do swing. You can't do swing on a 5-string. Unless you start three-finger picking, and then that's a whole different thing.
So you explore a lot of these themes and offer some instruction in your book, Funky Banjo.
Yeah.
Which has two different volumes.
Well, right now I'm working with my writing partner, Meg Arredondo, on level 3 and an ensemble book. What happened? I met this young woman about 25 years ago. She's a music teacher in the district where I live, and I was substitute teaching in the district. And so I brought her some music. Play this, please. Let me record what this says. She did that, and then I hear what it sounds like, and then I learned to play it on the banjo. Went that for years and years and years. And then I started doing workshops and said, can you tab this out? Can you write this down so I can take it out and do handouts? And it's like, after a while, it's getting ridiculous, you know? And then, and COVID hit, so we decided to go together, boom. And I really wanted to make sure that this repertoire that I've been delving into, that people had access to it and understanding of it. So the book does 4 things. It teaches you to read tab, teaches you to read standard notation, teaches you how different banjo techniques, how to play different ways, thumb, up picking, that picking, thumb lead, and the frailing, and then thumping, which is, thumb down, and strumming. And it also is maintaining and adding to the African and post-African repertoire, because I got, we promised that we'll do at least one African song, quote unquote African song, and one Caribbean song in each volume of these books, at least one. So people understand, what's this song from the Bahamas? Well, from Barbados. Well, what's this song from South Africa? Well, if you listen, you might hear a banjo in the back of that song,
It's so good. Yeah, I have volume 1, which I have a gourd banjo, which I'm just getting my hands on. So I'm excited to go into that journey under your guidance. So
of course, that's what I'm here for.
I wonder, would you be kind enough to, I know you've been very generous giving us, just sort of teasing us with these beautiful sounds, but would you kindly play us a song?
Certainly. I'll give you a song here. This instrument, this one, this pot, this is called the pot of the banjo. It's a resonator banjo. You see, the old one was an open back. This one has, so what is this? Yeah, this would be our gourd, right? So this is the resonator. Now this one was made by the Slingerland Drum Company, which I thought was appropriate since I'm also a percussionist. But this song comes from the Afro rock band called Osibisa, crisscross rhythms that explode with happiness. People from Nigeria, from many of the English colonies, Nigeria, Guyana, Ghana, came together in London and formed this band. And this is the title track from their second album. We are going, heaven knows where we are going. We know it. We will get there, heaven knows how we will get there. We know we will. It will be hard, we know. And the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there get there, we know we will.
That is so beautiful. Oh my goodness. Oh, thank you so much. That was gorgeous.
Thank you. Well, yeah, yeah. We are going, God.
Wow. So yeah. Well, I feel like I'm going to now go into the rest of my day with the blessing from having experienced that. Thank you. And we've talked about your upcoming book. We've talked about your upcoming online workshops. Is there anything else coming up for you that you would like to share?
Yeah. Let me mention one more thing about funky banjo. Oh yeah, you got that up. Yes, we're going to do that. I realized, like, I used to schlep all kinds of stuff around, but now I bring a tambourine, a set of bones, a little bell, and a couple shakers, and my string instruments, and that covers everything. And as you see in the picture there, you see the banjo, not the banjo. You see the tambourine, you see washboard, you see feet, bones, gourd, and banjo. You know, so this is what we're going to cover: bones, body percussion, foot percussion, washboard, gourd playing, and tambourine playing, because that's the stuff that grew into the groove that became Dennis Chambers or Billy Cobham or Sonny Greer or anybody else. It's founded in this groove. I'm saying go. You know? And so, and one thing I discovered also, if you don't have it within, you can't bring it out. You know, one of my dance teachers showed it so well for me. He said, you know, in the Western tradition, they go, so that people can see it from the back. Then he went, and everybody could feel that from the back, which gets back to the moving beyond mindfulness thing. Yeah, so I did that percussion class once before, and people really liked it. So I'm offering it again. I also have 6 months on the Monk Drummer's Path, and I also have this, which is, I mean, also having studied Eastern traditions and being a yogi and all this other stuff, and seeing in the magazines, mindfulness. Well, you know, we really need to be mindless, not mindful, because the mind, its job is to attach onto things. And so this is to help people not do that. This is to help give people movements, concepts, visualizations, and experiences so that you can be in your body. Because in studying Asian and some European stuff, the body is dirty and vile. You want to get beyond the body. No, but in the African traditions, you use the body and the energy of the body to propel yourself and to get beyond. And again, that's in the tantric tradition too. The southern part, which came out of the South India, the Dravidian stuff that got pushed south. So that's what we're doing with this course. And we're going just basic things. But as our maid of honor at our wedding's little brother, who was a comic, he won Last Comic Stand, and you can hear him on NPR all the time. He said, everybody want to be black. People want to dress black. They want to walk black. They want to talk black. They want to dance black. Everybody want to be black until the police come. And everybody wants to be black is what I deal with in this. The fact that what we had to encompass, to propagate, mitigate, and survive and prosper, we had to take the spiritual traditions from so many places, just like the banjo, distill it down into some very simple things, so simple that no one gives it any credit. But everybody wants to dance like black people, because what is intrinsic in that are the techniques that we use to survive and grow from, like I say, from can't see in the morning to can't see at night 6 days a week. Then what did we do Saturday night and all day Sunday to reconnect with spirit and earth, to bring joy to us, love, and sustenance so that we can continue the next week from can't see to can't see to can't see to can't see. Mm-hmm. It's things everybody knows, but nobody realizes.
Which is why we are fortunate that you are there to guide the community into these revelations and understandings. I want to thank you so much, Baba Sule Wilson, for participating in Dare Conversations in the Diaspora.
It is such a blessing to be here and to be under your tutelage also. Oh, one more thing, which
yes.
you should understand, please. You know about this.
Mm-hmm.
Hear that buzz?
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what I do? This rolling chair is dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
So when I play, the buzz is there. Because you go back, and even in the lutes, they have, like, if you've seen the djembe, they have kasheng, those little rattly paddles. So you want to enable this energy to transcend into different orbits, if you understand it, atomic theory. So that the electrons go to another level. The vibrations go to another level when you have the buzz on there. You hear it? Without it,
that buzz is so important. It makes the music attached to you in a very different kind of way. Thank you for pointing that out. That's fantastic. I didn't realize that banjos also had that element too.
Traditional ones do. Modern ones, no. Everybody I teach, I tell them, go get an earring or something. I got an extra one right here that you can hang on the bridge to give yourself time to do that.
Beautiful.
I know I'm taking up all your time. Thank you.
No. This is fascinating, and you're so generous. And I thank you so much. This was a very fun discussion for me, and I know it is for our viewers. Thank you again, Baba Sule Wilson.
Thank you, Iya. Thank you so much, and bless you and all your multitudinous work and your institution building. A lot of people do work, but not many people institutionalize. And that allows more people to stand on the work and move forward.
That's the hope. Modupwe. Thank you so much, Tatenda. I want to thank our viewers for joining us today. If you liked our program, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel to receive future notices of upcoming shows. If you would like to support our efforts, please consider a donation to the Center for International Dance. We have provided a link here in the comments as well as what you're looking at on your screen. We would love to hear your thoughts about our program or your own journey with reclaiming your cultural heritage, whatever that may be. Dare, Conversations in the Diaspora, is a program of the Mahea Uchiyama Center for International Dance, a nonprofit organization dedicated to fostering cross-cultural understanding in our community through dance and music. We will be back next month in conversation with dancer and teacher Rujeko Tumbutsoko. Until then, be well, stay safe, and keep the music in your heart.